is a Cosmic Octave original podcast.
Me and Jake running down the street with a handful of comic books, kicking ass and banging chicks and drinking booze
No, not
and
me.
smoking
Not
weed.
me. I'm married.
Yeah, well,
I'm married.
Jake.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler. Start over again. Jeez.
No.
God.
I just couldn't believe you would say that, Tyler. It's because you had those fireplace Cheetos. Those spicy fireplace Cheetos.
I didn't say anything offensive. I said something really
no,
silly.
Yeah, really dirty. Sexually.
Yeah.
It had to deal with goats. It was fucked up.
Uh-huh. It was a joke.
Yeah, we're fucking with you.
And the punchline was...
You know, to be fair, we don't really normally start with the first take right away. You know?
We usually don't start with the goats fucking first. The first thing we do is we go, let's introduce them.
Yes. You can only see that in Tijuana.
It feels like a long time since we've done an episode, doesn't it?
It's been a week.
But I think it's because...
it feels longer. Yeah,
well, it's because it's later in the day.
And I've been very busy this past week and with work and everything. So.
And I've just been having revelation upon revelation about
my gosh. Going on a musical journey.
Man, it's incredible, man.
So yeah, last week we talked about Thor, Love and Thunder, and we talked about The Boys Season 3. So this week we're going to be talking about Miss Marvel. We're also going to be talking about Marvel really starting to get negative press because we had some visual effects artists speak out about how they're treated. We also I just want to kind of open the conversation up about Phase 4 in general because Phase 4 seems to be really divisive, and I don't really understand. I kind of see it on some levels.
I have some thoughts on that
because the further, like you and I were talking about this, and I think maybe it was watching The Boys, and maybe it was just that it's something else. But yeah, I feel like my opinion on those Disney Plus shows has really changed over time. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. First, let's talk about Miss Marvel.
Season 1 recap.
Season 1.
Episode 6
Wait
review.
A minute. Are you thinking that, I don't know. I don't think she's going to get a season 2. I think they're just going to fold her right into the Marvels.
That's fine. If she doesn't need one, then no. Hey, by the way, Disney, while you're listening, no Obi-Wan season 2.
Stop it.
Leave it alone. It was it was fine. Leave it the fuck alone. You know, I feel like the people, before we move on to Miss Marvel, I feel like the people who really don't like Love and Thunder are the same people who just couldn't handle the fact that Homelander's the villain. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I don't...
Not necessarily, like, because I know that there are fair criticisms, but it just feels like most of the reasoning behind it is like...
Well, I think there's a large group of those people, but I think Love and Thunder... it's criticism. We'll save this for the MCU discussion, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, anyway, Miss Marvel, though.
Miss Marvel, yes. I gotta say, having watched this whole season and was actually like surprised at how good it was because it does have to stick to an MCU formula,
right? But
it is the most well adapted to that. I think this one works the best with 6 episodes. I think it should have been 8. Like I think all of them should have been 8.
Yeah.
But I think it works as 6 episodes.
I think I you know, we kept hearing about how they found the perfect Miss Marvel and everything, and I don't really know the character that well myself from the comics, but I got to say, like, the actress they got was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
She brought the right amount of energy. I loved that because I think we talked about this. It was
a good cast all around.
Yeah.
I liked
absolutely. But like, it snuck up on me, and so I didn't really have that many expectations again because I don't really know the character. I like the character, the idea of the character, and whatnot. You know, when I heard that there was a Muslim superhero, I was like, that's awesome. You know. But that it snuck up on me, so I'm kind of glad it did because I think I enjoyed it more because I didn't really have. I can't say I had low expectations because that would say I had expectations in general. I didn't.
Well, what's interesting about this show...
But I'm glad I didn't because it really was like, oh, like what a nice breath of fresh air kind of.
And what I think it works about this show is that it is a character study that has this attachment to a broader universe, but at the same time, I don't feel like you would need to watch this to know... If someone just said, oh, she's Miss Marvel, and she had this bracelet, and that when you'd have to explain how the whole thing that you're talking about. In the comics, they explain it. It's a thing that no matter where you are in the universe, you'll switch places if you have the same band.
Oh, it's the nega bands.
Nega bands.
You want me to talk about those? Oh, boy.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, all you need to know is she has one of those, and Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel had one, and they switched places. That's really all you could say. Oh, and she's a mutant. Like,
Right.
that's really, which is all you could say about that.
Thanks for the not so subtle stinger.
But honestly, I don't think you need to watch it to have do the homework for the Marvels. I think it works in a way that it's pretty straightforward of like, this is who she is, because quite honestly, I was not a huge fan of the story. in the whole Jinn clandestine stuff just really brought the show down, in my opinion.
I really like the episode where they explore the partition.
Yeah, when she goes back into episode 5, she goes back into...
And they show the story of her grandma and grandpa.
That was an interesting episode. That was good. But
yeah, other than that, the story was fairly cookie cutter. Origin story.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
I liked that part of it. And I just wish there was a better creative way to do her story without having this fucking... we got to go through this veil because it's this other dimension, which is now... See, what I find annoying about that is now you're going to...
Is that part of the multiverse, or is it a multi-dimension?
No, it's not. The fact that that's the thing, is the fact that like, Kevin Feige has to be like, well, okay, so here's the thing. That's a dimension and not a multiverse. A multiverse is a different thing than a dimension, and it's like, this is what pushed people away from comics, is when you overcomplicate your universe.
Don't listen to Jay, because he thinks Kevin Feige's wife like had relations with an Inhuman.
Why else would he just completely fucking errat? Like, I'm serious.
No, man, get him out of here.
Black Bolt fucked his wife or something.
You know what is great about
it
that? So I've been kind of digging on Jake because he says it occasionally when we talk about it, and I actually read an article from somewhere else. Probably CBR.com, and I read it, and it said the same thing. Like, doesn't it seem like Kevin Feige has a personal vendetta against the Inhumans?
It's funny.
It had nothing to do with his wife, like you. Like,
no, yeah. But that's the kind of thing I'm thinking. It's like if somebody really hurt him.
You're not the only one thinking about that. See, here's the thing, and we talked about this too off the air on the phone.
Yeah.
You can't relate to the Inhumans. When they tried to take the Fantastic Four, you can relate to them because they're a family. Most people have families. The X-Men, you can relate to them
being
because
outcasts.
Yes, everybody has felt like that. Fuck, have you gone through puberty? Then everybody can read an X-Men comic book. Okay,
yeah.
But the Inhumans are a royal family in space. What's relatable? And here's the dumb thing: they tried to make them.
Moon?
Yeah, in the blue area of the moon, a place called Atalan.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only place on the moon that has oxygen. Why? We don't know. Chris Claremont said fucking so, or Jack Kirby said, I don't know. But the way they tried to make them relatable in the TV show was Medusa, whose hair is alive. By the way, really piss poor job on the CGI if you've ever tried to watch that piece of shit. But
I want to watch it just to hit. We have to do like a commentary.
They have to. Yeah, we do.
At least in one episode.
Let's do the first yeah. But they send them. They have trouble in Atalan, so they have to go to Earth, and the royal family does. They have to escape. And one of the things, I can't remember if it's her trying to disguise herself or if it just happens because she gets in I don't know. But they cut her hair off. So Medusa, who has this living hair, is running around with no hair, and it's like, that's not how you make them relatable. I don't know how you make the Inhumans relatable. I like the Inhumans.
Well, that's the thing is, so apparently...
But I get why...
apparently the creator of Kamala...
Yeah.
Or Kamala... I always mess that up because I'm used to Kamala Harris. Kamala. The creator of her, she's come out and said, since that episode release, she said, like, she always wanted her to be a mutant anyway. Yeah. And I'm like... I guess.
Well, no, because the character came out around the time that they were trying to make the Inhumans the forefront.
In like 2014, 2015, they're really pushing the Inhumans, which we talked about this. I'm pretty sure
many times we've talked about it.
Yeah, about how it's hilarious how that's reversed, where they were trying to push the Inhumans and make them the new X-Men and make them this big deal. And then the minute they got that Fox license, they said, "Okay, fuck the Inhumans. We have the
Because
X-Men
the
now."
again, you can't. It's just. It's just not,
and it's
they're always going to be D-list.
Dude,
I'm sorry.
It makes the most sense because the X-Men are an established brand.
Yes.
They've had not only decades of comics, whether you like them or hate them, most of them are pretty shitty. But those Fox X-Men movies made a lot of money and they're very popular.
They're pretty good for the most.
The first two,
even the shitty ones are okay.
It's like this weird Star Trek thing where you have to like pick and choose because like the first two are great.
Third one sucks.
Look, they don't hold up well, but I like them for what they did. Like it's the same with Spider-Man. Well, that's not true because Spider-Man I feel still holds up. But I'm just saying, like, if you go back and watch that...
What about the rubber running across the rooftops? Do you like that part?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, like, if you go back and you watch the first two X-Men, you're going to see flaws in not only the story and the acting...
But special effects.
And all that stuff. But that's because we've had 20 years of superhero... 20-plus years of superhero movies now. So we have a different standard. But I like them for what they were in that time. But what I'm trying to get at is, like... No, I know. I'm going a roundabout way too.
Go for it.
What I'm trying to get at is those movies, whether people liked them or not, made a lot of money. Even X-Men Origins Wolverine, shitty movie, made a lot of money because it was
still kind of cool though.
When I saw it in
Wolverine
high school,
movie.
I thought I was a freshman in high school and I saw that movie in theaters.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. And then I watched it again and I was like, a couple years later, I was like, "Oh, this is not."
It's not good, but it's still a Wolverine movie. You know, I mean, it
has its fun moments, but it's not good.
Yeah,
the Wolverine is much better.
Even Last Stand has its moments.
Anyway,
that's
what I mean. That's how uninteresting Inhumans are when we can't help but talk about good X-Men stuff because we don't. So I get it. I understand in a business sense. Yes, it makes sense that we can backdoor start working in the X-Men.
Sure.
It seems small, and it is, but I like that because that's planting a seed.
But
this is the thing. I was literally about to finish.
Fucking get there.
No, fine. It doesn't matter. I'm saying it's like phase one. It's like now it's starting to make sense. Now we're starting to get a little bit of an idea of what they're going to start doing. That's all I was trying to get at.
No, I every time I thought you were gonna finish. No, because I do the same thing. I did not want to cut you off, but I'm like. Yeah.
Go ahead. The floor. I was rambling. The floor is yours.
Fuck! Did I forget what I was gonna say?
We're talking about the X-Men. They're popular. They made money.
So all of you who are all pissed off, all of you Miss Marvel purists who are all pissed off that the Inhuman origins were, taken away or whatever, which actually includes Iman Vellani, believe it or not. I think if I read that right, I might be totally wrong. You know what? I'm gonna retract that because I haven't read it.
I said earlier the creator said that she wanted her to be a mutant.
I know, but I can't remember if Iman. Anyway, right. So what we're saying is, if you're a Miss Marvel purist and you're like, she's supposed to be an Inhuman, just know that if Fox had never owned the rights to X-Men, she would have never been a fucking Inhuman. Never. She would have been a mutant from the start.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see like a good Inhumans movie.
I would too, but God, man, you really have to you have to do it right. I don't know how you'd do it right.
Yeah. Well, overall, I think I really enjoyed this show. I just think there's some creative choices to me that don't make sense. It's still, I still don't get this whole construct idea because all of the shit that she did in this show, other than make this platforms, which they could have done it like in the video game, because in the video game she just stretches her arm and swings like Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck did they do this construct? I don't get it. Because in the final episode, she does her big power-up move in Biggin. That's a big moment. Mm-hmm. And it's this purple fucking construct shit. And I'm like, there's no narrative reason why you couldn't have just made her stretchy. I don't fucking get it. Why? That's the only thing that impressed. Make her a mutant, cool, whatever. I don't care about that. The fact that they're like, no, we had to do a power change. Why? Because of, and then if it's true that Feige did it because of the Mr. Fantastic shit, like they want to do Fantastic Four and they don't want two stretchy people, I'm like, it worked just fine in the comics. You have two fucking shrinking people with Ant-Man and the Wasp. You got two of every flavor, dude. You had two fucking Iron Men, because War Machine. You had... oh, my God. Don't even...
And by the way,
I'm just saying.
her
make her stretchy.
her embiggen powers were not like Mr. Fantastic's in the comics.
No, she just
So
got,
that's on you guys for not fucking figuring out a
It's how-
good way to make it happen on screen. Fuck you.
It's how she looks in the show, but she's just giant. She becomes giant.
Fuck you guys for not taking the time and figuring it out. Seriously, that was piss poor. And also, one of the criticisms that
That's
the Green
thing I'll be
Lantern
unreasonably
movie,
mad about.
right? One of the I mean, I truly love the show a lot, but there's some creative decisions exactly like that. I'm just like, I love that we finally got to see the costume. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool costume.
Right. Yeah. The one thing, the only criticism I have, which is not really, because you don't have to make him exactly like the comics. Her hair is a lot lighter shade of brown in the comics, and the only reason that it drives it home to me at all is because they show all the moments from the comics in the credits. Because I watch the credits, there's almost always like a really cool song I've never heard before, from from an artist I've never heard because I'm an American ignorant idiot.
Yes. Of course.
But
You're
they show all
uncultured swine.
they all show all the scenes from the comic books, and you can tell like in the comic book scenes that they show, her hair is like kind of more of a sandy brown. Other than that, I mean, again, it's such a small. It's not even a criticism. It's just, hey, there's that. But also, one of the things that the Green Lantern movie got really wrong.
That's how good the show is. That's what your complaint.
The uninventiveness of the constructs in the Green Lantern movie, and this show didn't get that. But honestly, all we saw was embiggen, hands, and platforms. That's it.
Which you could have done.
Do you remember anything else?
You could have done with stretchy powers too.
Oh, maybe a wall.
All of that.
Didn't she make a wall?
She made like a dome thing at the end to talk to Cameron. But whatever. Well, and that's another thing too. We're
so pissed about little.
It just. This is how you get Marvel fatigue, and this is how you get the criticism. And we'll get. You know what? We'll segue into the Phase 4, and then we'll circle back to the visual effects stuff.
Can I start it off by saying that all of your criticisms of Phase 4 are unwarranted and undeserved?
That's not true.
I'm just going to start.
I think there's fair criticism.
I'm going to start off by saying that and let you answer that because I have the answer, or I will explain my positioning afterwards.
Well, I'm just saying we keep running into, and I get it that this happens in comic books too, but I feel like Marvel has a problem with their villains, and it's consistent in all of their movies, and it shows here where it's like it's the same thing. It's like, well, it's an origin story for Miss Marvel, so her origin story has to be we have to fight the same character with similar powers, just different colors.
Right. And
it just gets frustrating because the show, just like Moon Knight, it goes in a direction where you're like, okay, I'm interested in this. I like where this is going, and then it has to like, but wait, we've got to do the Disney Marvel ending. We have to do the MCU thing, and it was different in the first. Like with the Infinity Saga, it was different, right? Because you had so many elements you were putting into place to this grander thing, and I think a lot of the frustration is we don't have a clear idea of what Phase 4 is. So we're kind of like, we have been trained to believe in this like TV season narrative. Okay, so like Phase 1 is the first season of the show, right? Mm-hmm. And then, or you could even look at it as, what it is, a Phase 1. So that's the first chunk of that show. It is the longest TV show in history. Like at this point, it seems like, because now, and they've said it after Miss Marvel. They have reached over 100 hours of content. And it's been, 12 years? No, 13 years. Around that time. Yeah, because
it's been 15 if you go by the timeline in the MCU. God damn it. Way to fuck that up.
But you have all this content over all these years, and I see how people can get fatigued just on that. But you're not doing yourself any favors where you're at 100 hours of content and you do the same thing of, well, it's different color powers, same thing, but just different shade. And that's what made, and then you the same week that happens, that finale, Thor comes out, and you look at Christian Bale's Gore, and you're like, that's an interesting villain. That's something cool. And it's like, You know what I mean? How are we still going with, well, it's the same character? Fucking, I love the first Ant-Man. Yellow Jacket's the same goddamn character.
Yeah.
Ghost was a little bit different. I like that they tried something with that, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like Cameron wasn't convincing enough to be like, oh, that was I'm wondering what's going to happen when they meet up again in the next season of the show, or if he shows up in Marvels. I don't care, because it's like, he's just not that compelling of a villain, and it's nothing against the actor or anything. It's just the writing.
I know. I totally get where you're coming from.
And that's the problem with Marvel across the board, and that's what I'm saying. Is all these years you would think that they wouldn't have. I can probably name on one hand the good villains.
How many handfuls of chips do you think I can eat?
Sorry,
Jesus.
I keep rambling.
No, it's fine because these chips are really fucking good. So
I'll end it with this. I'll end my whole spiel with this. I could probably name on one hand the like really good, compelling villains in the MCU.
Probably
one hand, and we are 100 hours of content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep rambling. You gotta just rein me in. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay because I wanted some chips. First and foremost, what you got to remember about Phase 4. First of all, I do want to explain the Negabands. I don't know if the bangle is going to be one of the Negabands and that Captain Marvel has the other one. But in the original comics, for those of you who don't know, the original Captain Marvel was a dude who died of cancer, and he's never come back. He's one of the few comic book characters who've never come back to life.
Him and Uncle Ben.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly. At this point, there's maybe like... Those are like two major characters. There's two... any other character that hasn't come back to life is because nobody gave a shit.
Like the Inhumans.
Yikes. But so what happened is he used them, and one of the powers was you banged them together, and the other person who had them in the comics, you would switch places with them. I think. I can't remember exactly how it works, but there's this really great story during the Kree-Shar War, which was a crossover back in the late 80s, early 90s in Marvel, between the Avengers and like all these other comic books. And Quasar, who had the Negabands at this point, is trying to save Rick Jones on the moon. And the guy from Captain Marvel, the bad doctor, not Yanrog, the other one, whatever, not Minerva, it doesn't matter. But he's trying to fight him, and every time Wonder Man goes to punch the bad guy Kree guy, he bangs the bangles together, and then Rick shows up, so he has to like stop himself before he punches this human and kills him, obviously, because the other guy's superpowered. And then when he's like off balance, the guy bangs him again and then knocks him, chucks him. So it's a really good story because he has to like time it after a while. He has to like get his ass kicked for a while.
Like a boss battle in a video game.
It's really, really cool actually, because he finally ends up like, there's a moment where Rick comes back for a second and the fist is like right here because he's timed it right, and he's like, oh shit.
So that's what you think they're implying.
That's what I think is
Captain
implying
Marvel.
that yes, that is that they're gonna try to bring the Negabands in and maybe either introduce Quasar or introduce Nova, one or the other.
I'm actually really interested in the Marvels as a movie because that's
me too. It's gonna be fun.
That is something that
Captain Marvel doesn't have a rogues gallery is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like Batman.
Yeah.
The reason why you can make Batman movies
or Spider-Man,
ad infinitum is because they have so many great villains.
Yeah.
So many.
Well, but the thing, they're also gonna have Monica Rambeau as Photon. So
yeah,
I'm interested.
Who is currently based on Earth the last time we saw, but we haven't seen.
I'm just interested because what I think the MCU does really well.
Mm-hmm.
Is the buddy stuff. So I like the buddy movies. Like Ragnarok works so well because it's a Thor and Hulk buddy movie.
Right.
So and I want to see what they could do with that, especially because I think all three of them are good in their roles.
Thor's weapon.
Thor's weapon. Yeah. And I'm just interested to see how that's going to work. And especially this show did a good job of actually making me interested in that movie because I really liked the actress that played Kamala, and I liked all the other. Brie Larson, I think the hate she gets is ridiculous, but I think she's a great actress. She looks great in the suit. Like I
like the new suit.
I like how they like change the suit every time.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing.
Which is kind of what works with the character because she's talking about how she can customize the suit, and
she kind of has. She has a basic look in the comic books, but she's not like Spider-Man. You can make little tweaks to his costume, like add black, whatever, or like
they did in the MCU.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really make it, crazy. You're not like, oh my god. You can
every Batman movie has had a different suit.
You can play around with Captain Marvel's suit a lot, and people won't be like, because she's not her suit is not as iconic. It's basically the big halo star, and then those colors.
Yeah.
And then the sash is a big part of it in the comics, the little red belt sash.
Yeah.
But and so let me talk about Phase 4. Do you remember Phase 2? Nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Everybody during Phase
that's not true.
Hang on. Hang on. We're looking at Phase 1, 2, and 3 in the rear view.
Okay.
Now we got to remember that for Phase 2, almost none of it was connected to each other.
Yeah.
Almost all of the end credit scenes were setting up either the next movie in that specific thing or alluding to something that didn't happen until Phase 3.
Okay, so I see where you're going.
The only difference.
I see where you're going with this, and I'm going to back you up on this.
That's fair, but let me one more thing before because one more point about it is that the only difference between then and now is that we knew that Thanos was going to be the big bad.
Yeah.
The big criticism of the MCU, I think, stems from the fact that nobody knows who the big bad is. Audiences,
is it supposed to be Kang? Is it supposed to be this? We don't know.
Dr. Doom. Yeah, audiences want to have a. That's why I think people went through the MCU first 3 phases, because we knew it was building to something specific.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be this huge epic thing we had never seen before.
And I think we're getting criticism. I think fucking wish. I think they're getting a lot of criticism because we know they're building to something, but what we don't know is it a super villain
a lot
team?
Of people are
is it one guy? Is it two? Is it Kang and Dr. Doom? Yeah.
It goes back to that
Secret Wars,
that narrative thread of like it's a TV show. It's like okay, and I've had to. You and I have talked about this. I've had to do it.
TV shows have been largely forgettable.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Listen to me, man.
Shut up.
Because you and I have talked about how we've had these issues ourselves, where because the MCU movies already operate like a show, where it's like these movies are just really long episodes.
Yeah.
Because we were always like, what's the mid-credit scene? What's the end-credit scene? What's this? Where you're always guessing, and there's so much happening in this Phase 4 in a sense of like, we really don't know what it is. Because it seems to be the overarching narrative, overarching theme is legacy characters and shifting because
perhaps young Avengers,
younger actors and actresses because they're getting old. They don't. They're not signing these big, long 9-movie deals like they were when they were first starting this up. Because I think they didn't think they would get that far, honestly. And so maybe that's the overarching thing.
Maybe he's just trying to play catch up for a little bit.
But to back
go ahead and make a bunch of shit. I'll figure it out.
But to back you up here, the Phase 1 isn't. It's good. I think most Marvel movies are fine.
Yeah.
I think there are a few that are like really like. I like Eternals. I'll never watch that movie again. It was not for me. I don't think it's bad. I just think it wasn't for me.
If you don't love the Celestials like I do, I can totally see why you'd be like, fuck that turd.
That's the thing. I think that people that read or had an enjoyment of Kirby's Eternals.
Well, Cersei was a major member of the Avengers in the 80s, so
most of the people that liked that movie liked Kirby's Eternal stuff. So
yeah.
And as someone who never read that or cared about that, it didn't hit with me at all.
So bad.
Anyway,
so legendary. Sorry.
But like Phase 2 is a great example. So Thor: The Dark World, a lot of people think it's forgettable. It is for the most part, but it does have the Reality Stone in it. So that's building to it.
And they retconned it with Endgame into a really important movie.
But also, if you look at Iron Man 3, that movie treats it like Iron Man's hanging up the mantle and he's never going to do it again. And then it gets completely negated in a few years where he shows up in the fucking Age of Ultron. So these inconsistencies that you're going to complain about in Phase 4, you're right, have existed throughout because they've had to work around plans.
And how does Iron Man 3 further the MCU story?
It doesn't. It's a character story. And same with Thor.
They barely reference the Battle of New York.
The only way Thor is important is because it has the Reality Stone in it. Otherwise, that's a totally whatever movie. Like, you could just be like, that's a Thor movie.
Iron
whatever.
Man 3 is a character study.
Winter Soldier is arguably one of the best movies in the MCU. It destroys Hydra.
And S.H.I.E.L.D.
Or it destroys S.H.I.E.L.D., makes them Hydra, all that stuff. But it has nothing to do with Thanos.
You could if you went through the MCU through phase 1, 2, and 3 and ended with Endgame and you somehow missed Winter Soldier, and none of those movies would be like, what happened?
You would just be like, who's this guy? Oh, that's Bucky. He got frozen like Cap, but he works for the bad guys.
Because I think
Cap is trying to reform.
I think in Civil War they kind of do some exposition on that.
No, yeah, but Civil War is all about Bucky. So really, Winter Soldier is just about.
But it's such a good movie. You can't.
No, it's a fantastic
you shouldn't
movie.
miss it.
But
you could, and the overarching narrative is still
look,
complete.
I will say this. There are some Phase 4 movies that I'm like, yeah, these aren't like Eternals is an example because it's Phase 4. But if you still want to go with Phase 4. Spider-Man No Way Home is in Phase 4, and that was one of the best fucking superhero movies I've seen in a long time.
Oh, so good.
It's amazing. Spectacular.
And they made all that
Friendly
fan service.
neighborhood.
They made all that fan service make sense narratively. That's why it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just go, "Hey, look, it's Andrew Garfield. Now he's gone."
But all that movie did was just change the status quo on Spider-Man and set it up to be a traditional Spider-Man and be like, okay, here's the new era of Spider-Man. We'll figure out his college years or whatever. And
it'll be like Saved by the Bell
because I honestly think similar situation with contracts. They didn't know if they were going to have Tom Holland back. They didn't know what he was going to do.
There was a whole kerfuffle with Sony. I almost said Scooby.
Raggy.
Oh.
I can't do the laugh.
Yeah, don't.
That's Thor's whip.
Tiki was
so I think that Phase 4 is getting a lot of flack because people are just getting bored, or not necessarily bored. They're just getting fatigued.
They're getting inundated with so much information.
It's 100 hours of content.
Right. Well, you can only intake so much stuff before when they start making winks and nods back to the stuff that we've seen so far in Phase 4. Some people are going to be confused because they're going to be like, when was that again?
And I think the big problem is having the shows. I think the shows.
I hate to say it, but as much as I had moments when I was watching Moon Knight that I was like just floored by Oscar Isaac's performance.
Oscar Moon Knight.
The fucking show was pretty forgettable, dude.
Yeah,
I fucking hate to say it. So was, except for the moment at the end, which was one of the best speeches ever. Falcon and Winter Soldier, largely forgettable. Sorry.
We've talked about how that could have been a movie, but that's the thing. But,
what was the other one?
Loki
was
good. But also, if you want to go in and watch Doctor Strange, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you're fucking lost. Because she just like her going to that level of being the villain makes no sense in the context of the movie because you don't know who the fuck these kids are and why she's like so infatuated with it.
Do yourself a favor, go watch the Honest trailers, Multiverse of Madness, because it is fucking so on fucking point, dude. And we've talked about this. Literally, WandaVision existed to be erased by Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
That's why. Why?
It took Sorry,
I blew the speakers out.
It did take everything. That's what I told you in the review of that movie. I'd said that, but it's explained away.
And you're right.
It's explained away with the Darkhold, and it's whatever.
Whatever.
Well, that's the thing too.
Oh, why? By the way, way to squander Wundagore Mountain, you fucking dildos.
But again, going back to Phase 1, going back to Phase 2, all that stuff. I mean, shit. Phase 3 was the most that they blew open because I think that was, because it was Black Panther, Guardians 2, Civil War, fucking Ragnarok. All those movies and that was the best phase. Like those were amazing movies. Yeah. But
they were also a lot more connected to each other than any of the other ones.
And this whole phase
thus, at that point.
Yeah. But I think that the big problem is, yes, I think there's too much content. And I think that people are just the reason the Avengers works because we didn't think it could work. And we had 5 movies in 4 years building up to that, because we had Thor and Captain America came out the same year. So we had 5 movies building to that movie, and then it happened, and it was great. We loved it. We did a retrospective on this show. It still holds up. It's fucking awesome. And then after that, we had Iron Man 3, which I think is a great movie.
Yeah.
But you're right, doesn't really continue anything. And you could go through and nitpick all of these movies if you wanted to do that. But I think at some point it got so big and popular that so 2011 we had 2. We had 1 in 2013 or 2 in 2013, but they were May and November, so they were splitting them out. Now we're getting like consistently 3 movies a year.
There's usually only like a week or 2 without new content.
It's a month. It literally goes months now
between shows and movies. Yeah,
because Miss Marvel's over, Thor's happened. Next month is gonna be fucking.
Is it August 7th?
August 17th, but
yeah, I mean in like 3 weeks,
right? And I think that's really the frustration, is there's just so much content.
I can't wait for She-Hulk.
The problem is now, I saw somebody on TikTok say this. I know, TikTok, whatever. But he had a good point. He said it's quantity over quality, some people feel like. And I get that. I think Moon Knight was a disappointment for me, where you're right, in that we had that in the moment excitement for it and enjoying it. But we
now that it's over, it's like
we were both fucking pissed off at the finale.
But
it
yeah,
sucked.
I mean, where does he go from here? I mean, there's no indication that he's even going to be a part of anything moving forward. So
we thought maybe they were going to do something Midnight Suns.
Or fucking maybe with Gore the God Butcher. For fuck's sake, how did you guys not think to tie that into fucking the goddamn blockbuster movie this summer? How the fuck did that not cross your mind?
Why wouldn't you have him kill an Egyptian god or something? Yeah.
Like an end credits scene. Well, it's something real simple.
It's the same thing.
Didn't even have to get Christian Bale, dude.
It's the same thing why they took out the scene where Gore kills Peter Dinklage and the Grand Master. They don't want to commit to killing that character yet in case people like it.
Whatever.
That's why. So that's where I'm a little worried. I feel like, and I understand some criticisms. I do feel like sometimes we are at this point where it's all about expanding and loosely connecting things.
Which I think is actually a good idea because, as much as having that much content to think about, it's possible to maybe just go, you know what, I'm just going to kind of follow this part of it.
Yeah.
And then, when the big tentpole movies come up, I'll understand most of it.
I think that's fine. Like, Black Panther is a really good movie, but it is a movie that you do not need to see before seeing Infinity War. And Moon Knight would have been totally fine being a show like this is in the MCU, but it's like its own thing, and you don't really need to be attached to it. But the problem is we are constantly trained that this means something, so we should watch it.
Right.
And it's like I get the frustration. Because you're right. We don't have a Thanos dangling the carrot. We don't know.
And it does make the viewing a little bit tougher because we're so ingrained in expecting to see something like, whoa, whoa.
I think it's a good thing that we expect more from it because we know how good it could be with Infinity War and Endgame. But we can't ignore, but you're right. We can't ignore there's duds throughout this because when you make, what are they at, like 25 now, 26 movies, there's bound to be duds. There's bound to be...
Yeah, what I'm saying about Moon Knight, I think my enjoyment of Moon Knight, on its own, it's a pretty good show. The performances are great. It's pretty okay, but there's nothing that furthers the MCU story. And it's really is not connected at all.
And honestly...
But because we're trained,
not a problem.
That's
not a problem.
No, it's not. But I'm saying
Thor is not even connected.
I'm saying because we're trained to be looking for things and to be expecting like that, oh my gosh moment, that holy shit moment. That's why I think Moon Knight is largely forgettable to me because while I was watching it, I was expecting to see reveals. You know what I mean?
It should have been longer, and they should have taken episode 5 and made that the whole thing. I feel like the Asylum setup should have been the whole season. It should have been a play on if it's real or not.
I think they probably didn't want to try. They didn't want to be accused of copying off a Legion because that's pretty much the setting for
But there's a whole
fucking
Jeff Lemire.
Have you watched?
No,
Legion?
but I'm saying that there's a whole Jeff Lemire run that does that. That's what they were clearly taking from in those episodes. And I was like, why not just? I don't know. I don't want to keep talking about just Moon Knight in general, but we were really
excited about it.
I don't want to say
live up to it.
I don't want people to think we're MCU shills. I don't think
We
that
fucking are.
I don't think that everything the MCU makes is perfect. As I've mentioned several times in this episode, I didn't like Eternals. I didn't really care. I didn't really care. Falcon and Winter Soldier was fine, but yeah, I didn't really care for that. WandaVision was good until the ending, where it still made me be like,
like the first half is this is groundbreaking.
They try to make you level with her on something. I was like, yeah, I get it, but those kids were fake, and she enslaved those people. I'm sorry, but she manifested them. I don't know. It's complicated because I don't want to say.
Maybe I should watch. I was talking about this.
Look, no. WandaVision is a good show. I just think the ending is a little clunky because it's like, how can I be sympathetic to this person when she enslaved a whole town of people?
Right. Well, I wasn't saying that. What I was saying is, I talked about it last week, I think, and I've talked about it a couple times. I do want to try and binge one of these shows just to see like how different I take it. Because we all watched it with most of them, I think, had like 2 episodes at once. Yeah. And then, you know what I mean? But we all largely watched it week to week.
We're victims of the moment. Like with Moon Knight, we were victims of the
moment.
moment.
So I think I do want to do it just to make sure, because I have said a couple times in the last couple weeks they're largely forgettable. But are they?
Yeah.
Let me binge them. That's my project for the next week. I'm going to binge all of the Disney Plus TV shows.
I would say that
one by one.
To me, just off the top of my head, I feel like WandaVision, Loki, and Miss Marvel will be the ones that will still be the best, because I think they are the ones that are the
You know which
strongest.
one I think is going to be the toughest to binge is What If? Which is dumb.
Oh, don't get me started on
which
that
is dumb
fucking
because
disappointment.
that was my favorite. Like
I fucking hate
I was
that
so
shit.
fucking ready for that, and
Here's
it was
the thing.
not good.
There's so many episodes that had a setup and they just fell flat, and I'm like, what are we doing?
And wait a second,
Like, why did we?
You had an episode where Tony Stark was on Sakaar and he made a fucking Iron Man, that Hulkbuster that turned into a car, and you cut it?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
And then we had to.
We
just
have to make
tie
it 6
every-
Wait, we have to make it. You could make it
was
7.
It was 9.
Okay, make it 10.
They were half-hour episodes.
Make it 10.
But why do we?
Why
have
do
to
you have to
fucking
skip that
make
particular
it team
one?
up? It was dumb. I was like, we don't. It's just because it's a Marvel property. You don't need to team up. The whole fun of What If is these stories are not connected.
Now wait a second. The Marvel Zombies episode was fucking
I liked that episode.
great.
I did. There were some episodes I enjoyed,
But then they had to team up.
but that was But that's my point. We have criticisms of the MCU, but I think a lot of it is true. I think it's because we look back with rose-tinted glasses. We look at people are talking about how they missed
Butthole-colored
people were
glasses.
literally talking about how they missed the first Thor because they thought Love and Thunder was too jokey. And I'm like, really? Because you motherfuckers
Go back and watch it.
And you could find those same people bitching about how boring those first 2 Thor movies are.
No, you know what? Here,
And say what you will about Thor. Have your criticisms of it. You
Sure.
can't deny that it's not entertaining.
No. Great acting. No, here's my thing. We were talking about this off the air. And let me amend what I was saying, because I was erroneously saying something like, I guarantee that everybody who doesn't like Love and Thunder are the same people who think, who are shocked that Homelander was the villain. That's not accurate. That's making a judgmental blanket call that is inaccurate and unfair. But let me make this caveat to it, and it makes a little more sense. Anybody who says, I don't like Love and Thunder, The Dark World was better, those are the guys that you want to look out for.
Yeah.
If they're saying Thor was better, I have no problem with it. But if you're purposefully telling me
first Thor
that
is
the
fine.
worst Thor movie is better than this one, then I know you're just mad because of some fucking woke thing that showed up on screen that you're
Yes.
pissed about.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I was kind of trying to get at.
And that's also
You
another,
can't tell me Dark World is better than any movie.
That's also another thing. I think Phase 4 gets a lot of hate because of the stupid woke MCU shit that people say, and that's just the internet.
right.
That's just what it is.
I have no problem with more inclusive stories at all. In fact, I think they're better the more we include different stories.
And to the thing that you were saying, that like people that have criticisms of Phase 4, not all of them are assholes like those guys, but
Right. And there are valid criticisms. Yes.
there are, and I also think it's totally fine to look at Miss Marvel and say I'm not interested in that. It doesn't look like it appeals to me, and
Sure.
you don't watch it. I'm pro not watching shit if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's when you go, oh, it's about a Muslim
Right.
superhero.
When you
I'm not
say
gonna watch that.
When you say that, you're a shit.
Yeah, see, yeah, and again, back to wrap it around Miss Marvel, so we can move on to the VFX thing. But to bring it back, that's why I liked that it snuck up on me. Like when it did, I was kind of pissed at
It was
myself.
a pleasant surprise.
Because I literally, even having bad expectations, still have an expectation with none. Man, the show blew me away. And I'm not saying it wouldn't have if I had high expectations. I'm just saying that I think the show was so much better for me because I had none.
Right.
I think, if you have too high, you don't meet them. If you have too low and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
Miss
know.
Marvel.
I think I enjoyed Miss Marvel. I mean, I'm still invested in Phase 4. I am.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there are valid criticisms of Thor, Love and Thunder, but I feel like there are so many people that I feel like a lot of the internet just wants to hate shit. I swear.
Well, they're bored.
And again, totally fair if you didn't like the movie, but I just feel like some people are the way that they're.
It's the reasoning.
The things that they're
What's your
saying
reasoning?
about it,
Yeah.
yes, in the context
Why
of
don't
it.
you like it?
And look, it's a silly, dumb movie. That's why I love it.
I tell you about the person I work with who follows somebody who didn't
Didn't like Love and Thunder, but liked
loved
Morbius.
loved
Oh
Morbius.
my gosh!
I was like, stop
can't-
following that
you know,
person.
You know, that's
immediately.
another thing.
That person doesn't know it.
We're gonna have to watch for.
Are we gonna have to do a Morbius commentary?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That's the rules. I will only watch these shitty comic book properties if we can make content.
So we
out
got
of it.
Morbius, we got Batman Forever, which I've never
That's a
seen.
fucking
No,
great movie.
Batman and Robin. Sorry,
Both are
because
fantastic.
I've seen Forever, but I've never seen Batman and Robin. So we're gonna do the first episode of the Inhumans. We're gonna do Morbin Time when it comes out.
Oh boy!
We got to call it the Morbin Time episode.
That's the problem. I don't know where we could try and find it to stream because I don't want to rent it.
Fuck no. Yeah, where does
Probably
Sony put
on,
their
like,
shit?
Stars or some shit.
What does Sony put their shit?
On Stars.
Fuck Stars.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not, and that's the thing. I
All
don't
we
even want to
needed-
give them money to
all
rent
we
it on
needed-
Amazon.
All we needed was HBO, Cinemax, and fucking Encore. That's all we needed. Let's get all clever. Let's be stars. Let's be epics. Let's be. Fuck off.
All right.
We need more movie channels.
Well, we don't.
We
yeah.
need more cartoon channels. God damn it.
We do need more animation.
No, I mean
Like
cartoons.
superhero man.
No,
animation.
because then you're talking about like anime and shit. I don't give a.
No, I'm saying
what was that thing that?
superheroes.
What was that thing that Luke put on the
I
group
don't know.
chat?
Anyway, we're moving on.
That blew me away. I was
So
like, whoa.
while we might have defended Marvel for the most
Dad.
part there, now we're going to shit on Marvel.
Yeah,
Because
fuck you, Marvel.
This is like I don't think these people are lying when they're talking about it. I haven't looked at the whole Reddit thread, but I don't see why this person. I mean, I can
Where there's
see,
smoke, there's fire a lot, Jake.
yeah, especially when there are people that work behind the scenes on this stuff.
And big tech companies, including these types of big tech companies, are known for exploiting their workers.
Oh, yeah. So what we're referring to is multiple VFX artists have called out Marvel. The issues came to light with a Reddit thread from the Reddit user Independent AD 419. I don't know. On the VFX subreddit, he said, "Quote: Marvel has probably the worst methodology of production and VFX management out there. They can never fix the look for the show before more than half of the allocated time for the show is over. The artists working on Marvel shows are definitely not paid equivalent to the amount of work they put in. The charm for working on a Marvel movie is way overrated now. I would rather be happy working on a TV series after decades and decades of this. Sorry, but had to get this off my chest. And the title of it was, I'm quite frankly sick and tired of working on Marvel shows.
Yeah.
So, and then more VFX artists on that thread commented about how they were underpaid,
yeah, and it's-
overworked. There's a lot of crunch and not a great
A
management.
lot of studio interference, it sounds like.
And then, of course, you have all the hate towards Taika Waititi because I don't know if this was before or right after this comes out, but he made a joke when they were doing like a scene breakdown where he points at Korg and he goes, "Does that look real to you?" to Tessa Thompson, and they kind of laugh about it. Really bad timing.
The one that stuck with me when I was reading that thread
Yeah.
that you sent me was the one that said they want to have 3 different versions so they can pick and choose. and oftentimes like while they're making the show, they still haven't decided, and so they want you to make 3 different versions,
dude.
You know what I mean?
They've been doing this since the phase 1, where they were filming Iron Man.
Well, nobody would have cared in phase 1 because it wasn't big business. Now it's big business.
But that's what I mean, is why I tend to believe this person.
We should care
because
about it,
you can see stories of the first Iron Man and the second Iron Man where they started production and filming and they didn't even have a finished script.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be like, that's why I believe that shit, is because like that makes sense. And of course they want to do the pick and choose thing, because you're right. They got to public perception, and they got fucking shareholder perception and all this other shit.
How do you think?
Corporation.
How do you think the team that worked on that? Okay, so you're a team working on a VFX. Or you're a person working on a VFX team that's working on Infinity War. Okay, and your whole scene that you're working on, which is your team gets one scene. That's how long it's going to take. So you spend months and months and months working on this scene with all of the Avengers, including the Hulk, charging at the screen.
Yeah.
And you see it in the trailer, and you're like, oh, man, it's fucking totally worth it, totally worth it. You go and see the movie, and it's not in the fucking movie.
Right.
How do you think you felt about that?
How
do you think that team
when you
felt?
did that whole scene just for a fake trailer shot? Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that would piss me off.
I wanted to talk about it because, this shit is unacceptable, and I'm sure DC probably does the same. I'm sure or Warner Brothers or whatever does the same shit. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. They're these big, massive corporations that have these big, massive global properties. Like I'm not surprised, and it's shitty.
Well, Warner Brothers hasn't been as adamant about getting shit out on time. Clearly, like they're like, yeah, we'll move it back.
We'll fucking delay it.
You know what? A couple more years will be fine.
Warner Brothers doesn't get.
It seems like they probably
we'll just release it on HBO Max the same day.
It seems like they probably don't care that much. I mean, it seems like they probably wouldn't be like that. But Marvel clearly has an agenda, like we've been talking about. They want to have an end game. Ooh.
Oh.
Whoa! Did you see what I did there?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just really unfortunate because you
do better, Marvel. Do better.
When you
make a shitload of money from our ticket sales.
Exactly,
alone.
And you could afford to pay these.
Then
people
we
better.
pay you a monthly subscription to a Disney Plus thing so that we can watch it again 2 months later.
Or do the thing that we've said that I feel like is a catchphrase of this show: stop announcing shit,
right,
and give yourself time to make shit. Like
start being clever about announcing things.
Yeah, these people are human beings. They need rest. They need time to take breaks and time to make these things. We're making when you turn art into this machine, it's not art anymore.
No, because then you're forcing out art.
Yes.
Like, okay, I know you're gonna hate me for doing this.
Oh my god. Fucking talk about your fucking music.
If I was told you have 6 months to make an album this long, it would be a really shitty album. You want to know why? Because I can't work like that. And you shouldn't make art like that. Here's the problem. They looked at how much money they made in 1 year with one movie back in the day, like with Thor. And then they saw how much they made with Avengers. And I think, didn't another movie come out? Didn't Iron Man 3 come out that same year?
What? Iron Man 3 came out in 2013.
The same year Avengers.
No, Avengers came out in 2012.
Really?
Yes.
Then they had
we
two
just
movies.
Had a 10-year retrospective.
Then they had two movies 1 year, and they were like, "Oh, we can make that much movie out of two movies." Yeah. Then they started thinking, now we can do.
It was Thor and Iron Man.
Now we can do 4 TV shows and 3 movies and da 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 da. Because you know what? All they're thinking about is profits. The people behind the scenes,
that 100 hours of content,
are not making artistic choices.
Content, mind you, that heavily focuses on visual effects.
If we can make $1 billion off of one movie, we can make $2 billion off of 2. We can make $5 billion off of 2 and 2 TV
keep
shows.
Churning out these same character models, and
I'm just saying, when that's exactly why it doesn't work, because instead of telling a story in the time that you should take to tell a story, you're forcing out these properties that maybe don't connect, but just to get them out so that you have merchandising to sell. You have action figures to sell. You have Lego sets to sell. You have T-shirts to sell. You have fucking lunchboxes. Let's be honest. Every fucking property that comes out from these superhero things, you're going to have
That's why
billions of dollars of merchandise that a lot of people are relying on.
Warner Brothers denies it, but that's why
It's a monster of their own creation, and I do not feel sorry for you. Do better, Marvel. You have the money. Fuck off. And stop forcing shit on us.
DC denies it, but that's why Young Justice was canceled originally.
Oh.
Because they didn't sell enough toys. But they were like, no, it was because this or that.
I thought you were going to talk about a property I gave a shit about.
No, but
sorry.
How many times it doesn't. It's just they don't think about the visual effect, like the people that do this, because these people
they don't think about how to tell a story. No,
it's not even that. It's just they're trying to put a hefty workload on people.
Right. Yeah. No.
It's it's just a part about it. For me, it's a broader explanation of just where we are now with the Great Resignation and all this stuff with the movement towards worker rights. Some fucking
industries are Great Resignation proof.
And that's how Disney and Warner Brothers and all these big studios can manipulate this stuff and treat people this way, is because a lot of these places don't have unions. And I'm not trying to be political or anything like that. I'm just saying that's the reason these people are treated the way they are, and it's shitty. And you'd think that they would be. This would do something to maybe push towards maybe making a union or doing something to help these visual effects artists.
Or hopefully Feige takes this in stride. And the problem is that he has to answer to shareholders. That's the problem. He still has to answer to Bob Chapek. So yes, and that's the problem, because now Chapek has seen these numbers, and do you think he's ever going to be like, sure, we can let him go down now? No, it's going to get worse from here, guys.
Yeah.
Until it collapses on themselves, and then they're going to be like, well, we have to start over, and then it's going to be a fucking reboot. You fucking dick. And then it's going to be female Captain America.
Well, I'm fully.
What the hell?
But that, to be fair though, I've fully accepted that some characters, like I've accepted a long time ago that Spider-Man and Batman, they're gonna live past me, right? So there's always gonna be another Spider-Man movie. There's always gonna be another Batman movie down the road at some point.
Yeah, so what are we bitching about? Let's move on.
Move on.
Who gives a
Tyler,
shit?
It's a new segment, but it's really just the same segment we've done before, but we're just repackaging it.
I got a bonus this week, too.
Yeah, what? No, you get one.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
You try and sneak that other one in? I wouldn't care, but I'd be upset. It's the long Yeah, instead of Tyler.
What the fuck was that?
Well, I decided Tyler doesn't get a fucking segment, so I got rid of Tyler's long box. And so now it's just the long box where we both share
Fuck you.
comics or TV shows, or for me, video games that we're doing in their spare time.
I still have my Tyler's long box T-shirt, and I'm never giving it up.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to? You know what? Fuck you. I'm going first. For my item in the box today, I want to talk about Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Nice.
Because that movie, I talked to you about this. The other night, I was just sitting there one night, and I kept telling myself when I saw the trailer, like, I was going to watch this, because I keep forgetting to get rid of Paramount Plus after Halo, that disappointment. So I was like, oh, yeah, but I wanted to watch that. And then I just forgot about it. And then one night, by circumstance, I was like, oh, yeah, let's watch Beavis and Butthead To the Universe. I said to myself, because my wife was asleep. But I flip it on, and because in my mind, I
said to myself, my wife was asleep.
I'm narrating the whole thing. I said to myself, like, is this going to work? Is this going to be funny? Because I saw Beavis and Butthead when I was a kid. Like, Beavis and Butthead Do America is one of the funniest animated movies I've ever seen. One of the funniest movies I've seen. I fucking love that
Full cavity body searches all around.
We're going to score.
Robert Stack. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to see my unit?
Bruce Willis and Demi Moore are playing two. Yeah, let's keep going.
You're going to pay us to do your work.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do her.
So I was like coming in with this idea of like, I don't know if this will work, whatever. Low expectations. Dude, one of the funniest fucking movies I've seen this year. Like, it is so good. It
Don't give anything away.
No, I will. No, but I'll tell you this. It's the same fucking plot as the first movie, and it's still funny to me. Oh, yeah. And because it's really just them wanting to get...
We talked about this, too. Mike Judge is fucking great.
Every joke that I thought would be like, is this kind of humor going to work? It does, because it's still... The movie is... And what I love about... what it does about comedy, it's comedy. It embraces how silly and dumb it is. Mm-hmm. It is not trying to be anything more than two fucking idiots just being stupid.
And they don't evolve. That's what makes them so like.
Right. Everybody around them is like, there's this aura about them, like trying to get through to them, and they don't care. No. They just don't care. They're stupid.
And they don't say the same things like over and over again. You know what I mean? Like they change it up. And here's like my criticism with like Family Guy. Is how they do like the jokes over and over, and it's the same exact joke. Like when Beavis and Butthead are confronted with different but similar situations, they don't react exactly the same.
It's funny because
they react differently per situation, and that's why they work still.
They smartly took them.
They don't. It's not just a formula you plug into any situation.
They smartly plucked them from 1998 and put them in 2022.
Oh, way to fucking ruin it. Fuck.
It's a Beavis and Butthead movie.
I was trying to maybe. I was going to get some popcorn. I was going to stop by the theater and get like the actual shit.
You're not going to get Paramount Plus.
Fuck you.
Get a free trial.
I'll trial you. You're trying my patience right now, boy.
It was great. I loved it so much.
That's good.
There's so many jokes that they're so dumb, but I can't help but laugh. And I saw an interview that Mike Judge did because there's going to be a series, so there's a revival.
Yeah, I heard about that. I can't wait.
And Mike Judge said
the original series is on Paramount Plus.
Yes,
still holds up.
He said it was harder than you think to write for the show.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Because you have to write idiots, and they don't learn or do anything. Things just happen around them. And that's what's so great about Do America.
That's why they're great.
And that's what's so great about this movie.
They're never going to change. There's no arc.
They don't learn.
Yeah, there's no arc.
And you're right. That's what makes them show funny, and that's what makes the characters work. All these complex and serious things are happening, and they encounter them, but they don't care, and they go through it because they're so fucking dumb. They've never had to learn because they have the best luck in the history of the world because everything they do.
They're also cartoon characters.
Exactly. And so they're
not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. It was a great, wonderful.
I'm glad you got to see it.
Wonderful surprise, and I would definitely watch it again. And yeah. There's so many jokes. So I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but I'm giggling. So, Beavis and Butthead, Do the Universe gets
available on Paramount Plus.
Gets 2 boings gets 5 boings out of 5. Yeah.
By the way, Paramount Plus, we're up for sponsorship. No, fuck you.
Fuck Paramount Plus.
Wow.
That's a shit ass app. Yeah, but we'll take your money.
Yeah.
We're sorry. Halo was good.
So, speaking of surprises, I used to go to Half Price Books a lot, because I was kind of bored, and you can buy books there and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, the bookstore. You can buy books. Shocker. I went to Half Price Books. You can buy books.
What a stupid fucking introduction. I went to the bookstore because, you can buy books there.
So anyway, you bought a book.
Anyway, I'm a big fan of Frank Herbert, who wrote the Dune books. I don't know if you know this, but his career is prolific. Like, he wrote, like, these dense fucking sci-fi novels, like, hundreds of them. It's just ridiculous. I've read 2 different ones. One was the Dosati Experiment, and this one was called Destination Void. And it starts off, and these people are watching.
It's a great title, by the way.
From a moon base. They're watching this ship approach Jupiter from this moon base, the Earth's moon, obviously.
To get more stupider. See, this is why I know you like the Beavis and Butthead movie. That's the kind of humor.
That's great. I don't know why. Anyway, but the people on the moon base are talking about how, like, okay, this is where it's going to happen. Okay, clearly We just got confirmation that the kill switch has been activated, and then they watch the ship explode. And they allude to the fact that it's like the 5th time this has happened, and all the people aboard are clones, right? So then, that's the beginning of the book. That's like the prologue, if you will. Chapter 1 starts off with the 6th iteration from the perspective of the people on that ship, on the 6th version of it. Okay? And it's revealed there's like 4 of them, and they have like, there's 4 crew people. There were originally 6. 3 of them died, and they had to revive another one. And then they also have like 480 colonists. And they're supposed to be going to it's supposed to be a 400-year journey to Alpha Tau Ceti to inhabit a world, a new world, okay? So they're sitting there and they're trying to figure out why this ship is designed so, like, in such a shitty way. Like, it's designed to fail almost. And they realize through trial and error that the whole purpose of this whole experiment is to create a true artificial intelligence. It's fucking insane because first of all, the ship is powered when it starts off, each one, by these things. I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically human brains. 3 human brains are like basically the ship's computers. And they all fail at different times. So we catch up on that 6th iteration right after the 3rd brain fails, and they're like, fuck, what do we do? Because these things are supposed to make sure we can make it. Like, how do we fix the computer? And they go, well, we have to use something like a human brain. So, and then it's just fucking insane because it's really dense and thick. But the story itself, like, I would love to see it like turned into an HBO Max TV series, and just because the ending is just fucking insane. I'm gonna tell you off the air because I know you'll never read it. No, I'm saying because it is really. All the technology is based off like 60s computers too. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's very dense and thick and very like you have to really plow your way through these like paragraphs of like technical shit to get to what the fuck he's trying to say.
You don't think it's going to all fit in, but it does.
Yes? Yeah. Oh, I did want to say it's not a long box thing. It's not necessarily. Penis. Yes, penis. It's not necessarily a long box thing. But after I saw what Eddie Munson did in Stranger Things, and I actually saw a TikTok of Metallica duetting with him, and I've heard about this. What are they called? Save songs in the show Stranger Things.
Yeah, to get them out of the.
Is that what they're called? Okay.
Their songs.
Don't tell me too much.
You're never gonna watch it.
I actually was going to say that because I heard about this, and I heard about the running up the hill a couple weeks ago. Right. But I heard about the Metallica thing. I'm like, okay, whatever. But then I saw like the thing, and I realized like what was going on, and I was like, I might have to watch this show. Because that looks really fucking cool.
That's a lot of content. Cause
that's the problem, is we're talking about season 4, and from what you've told me, every episode is like a movie.
Yeah,
so I've got a long way to go.
Well, the first 3 seasons are pretty...
I don't know who he's saving, so it doesn't matter.
I was just saying, the first 3 seasons are pretty standard run times, like hour-long episodes. But season 4, the final episode of season 4 is 2.5 hours.
Well, they go to hell. No, but hey, what else... What I was gonna say is that you made a promise earlier this year that you were gonna watch The Wire.
Oh, shit, I still need to do that.
I have always been kind of against watching Stranger Things. Now, I can't promise I'll watch the whole series by the end of the year because I don't have that kind of time. But I am gonna start watching it this year before the end of the year. So that's my promise to finally get off my high horse and realize that
you're gonna like it.
Huh?
I think you're gonna like it. It's good.
Everybody I know is like, you would love it.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah. Keep running up the hill. Keep running up the hill.
Shut up.
Oh.
Wow.
You know that song charted because of that? Because of the show, it charted again?
That song farted but actually shat its pants?
Oh my god. You fucking know what I said, dude. You know.
Look at my fucking face.
You know what I said.
All
right, well,
are we done?
Today's whatever you're listening to this.
That was quick.
Episode. That's what she said. Is that it? We're
Cram
done?
it all in there.
What?
Wow. What happened?
Then I said,
Nice.
And I said, yes!
and then you were like, all right.
I'll eat your ass.
And she said,
$1 million, bitch. And that's it.